right, it's 1 o'clock, or after 1 o'clock. Welcome to Juneteenth Woburn 2023. We're going to get started in about 10-15 minutes with our panel, but just want to let you know we got some chairs up here. They're a little wet, so grab a towel if anyone wants to sit down, and our panel will get started in about 10 minutes. Thanks.
We're very happy to have you join us today. This year, I should say, we're going to have a panelist discussion. And the theme of the discussion is Black Journeys of Resilience to Excellence. And what we want to do is we want to explore some of the experiences of some of our local Black individuals that have, succeeded in their industry. Give them an opportunity to give us an opportunity to listen to some of the things that have cultivated within them in their own experiences that brought them to here, and they'll get a chance to share with us some of those things so that we can actually kind of learn and understand. So I'm really looking forward to this. Last year we had a discussion with Dr. Bernard Lafayette. It was a very powerful discussion, and we're really looking forward to this because it's a continuation of the work that the Juneteenth celebration has been doing for the last 3 years. So on the panel today, the moderator for today is Dr. Anthony Costin. Dr. Costin is the president of Elise William Ventures. And for the panelists, we have Beth Chandler. Beth is the president and CEO of YW Boston. Welcome. We also have with us Sean Brown. He's the executive director of Youth Guidance Boston and worked in a program that we're familiar with at St. John's and BAM, Becoming a Man. Thank you, Sean, for joining us. And we also have Michael Bobbitt. He's the executive director of the Mass Cultural Council. Thank you very much for joining us, Michael. And finally, we have Jillian Harvey. She's the director of the DEI division of the town of Arlington, Massachusetts. And she's also the president of the Mystic Valley NAACP branch. Welcome. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to hand over the program to Dr. Costin so that he can give us an opportunity to hear some of the experiences of these very powerful people. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Good afternoon, everyone. I am honored to be here and help moderate this distinguished panel. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself and have each of them introduce themselves, and then we'll get going with some of the questions that we have. So, Anthony Costin. Currently, I am the president of my own venture company, but I'm also a CEO of a startup called mTopo Payment Solutions. And this is a company that I founded with a couple other co-founders about 6 years ago. And what we're doing is providing financial services capabilities to Western African countries, basically allowing them to purchase goods and services from merchants using their cell phones. So this is something that I'm very excited about, and hopefully I can tell you a little bit more about that. My background is as an engineer. I started as an electrical engineer, ended up getting my master's PhD in biomedical engineering, worked for several medical device companies over the last 25, 30 years. Right now, I'm doing some additional work for biotechnology companies doing combination devices. I am a father of two. My daughter's in college. My son is going to senior year of high school. I'm a deacon at St. John's Baptist Church right around the corner from here. And I'm looking for my lovely bride. She's probably around here somewhere. I have been married as of, once we hit September, 30 years.
Amen.
So with that, I will pass it on to Beth.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Beth Chandler. I use the She Series. I'm president and CEO of YW Boston. We are part of the YWCA network. We are the first YWCA in the country. We were started in 1856, and our work focuses on helping organizations create more inclusive environments so that women, people of color, and especially women of color can thrive. I've been in Massachusetts for over 20 years, so I know you have to be here for several generations to be declared a Bostonian or someone from Massachusetts, so I know I have a ways to go. My partner Jill is here in the background, who has braved the elements. We have 2 kids, a son who is in high school, a daughter who is in 7th grade. And I think that, a lot of my experience as both a younger sister, somebody who grew up in a predominantly white town, someone who's worked in many organizations that were predominantly white and predominantly male. I have a lot of experience with inequities, and I think that has certainly shaped why I do the work that I do today.
Ashe. Good afternoon, everyone. Sean Brown. Before I start, I want to give all praises to my Savior, Lord Jesus Christ. It is truly because of him I stand here before you today, so I want to start there. I also want to say that before I talk about my personal experience, I want to say that I am a husband to a beautiful wife, Shanda Brown. We've been together for 32 years. This year we will celebrate our 24th wedding anniversary. I am also the proud father of 3 beautiful children, Sean Jr., who will be 31 next month. My middle son, Shandon, is 23, just graduated last year with his business degree, and is pursuing his master's and will go play professionally overseas. He's a basketball player, so I'm excited about that. And then my daughter is our youngest, and she is 18, and she just finished her freshman year at Howard University. So I am truly blessed to be here. As in terms of my professional, I am the executive director of 2 national evidence-based school-based counseling programs. I am the executive director of our Boston chapter. Our 2 school-based programs are called Becoming a Man, BAM, and Working on Womanhood, WOW. BAM has been proven to reduce violence and increase graduation rates for black and brown boys. Studies show that our program reduces violence by 50% for young men in our program, increased graduation rates by 20%, and decrease overall crime arrests by 35%. For our sister program, WOW has been proven to reduce PTSD, depression, and anxiety in our young women. Research has shown that WOW reduces PTSD by 62% for young. The queens in our program experience fewer. 62% have experienced fewer PTSD symptoms. 71% of our queens have experienced fewer anxiety and depression symptoms. And with that, we'll pass it.
I don't know how you have a 30-year-old child. I mean, secrets, please. Hey, y'all, my name is Michael Bobbitt. I'm the executive director of Mass Cultural Council. If you don't know Mass Cultural Council, we are a state agency that supports the creative and cultural sector of Massachusetts through appropriations given to me by the legislature. So thank you all for paying your taxes. Appreciate that. Shout out to all of your legislators that voted to make sure our appropriation comes to us. Born and raised in D.C., moved to Massachusetts 4 years ago. I have a long career in the arts. Went to school to study music and dance and theater. Performed all over the world as a theater artist. Transitioned to running organizations. Prior to this job, running the state agencies, I ran 3 different theater companies, 2 in D.C. One was a Smithsonian theater company, and then one moved up here in 2019 with my husband of 7 years. We also have a son who was adopted at the age of 8 months old from Vietnam. He is now graduating college at the University of Florida as a marine biology major. Yes, thank you. And he just got a job that'll pay for his master's and his doctorate. So I get to keep my money. I'm happy about that. And it's just great to be here. This is my first time here. And also, we're super glad to have given a grant to Juneteenth Woburn. So thank you so much.
Hello? Can you hear me? No? Hi, I'm Jill Harvey. I am the DEI Director for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Division Director for the town of Arlington. I'm also the NAACP branch, so Woburn is a part of that. Woburn is a part of the Mystic Valley branch. Some of my history, is this not working?
Can you hear? Okay.
Much better. Thanks. Sorry. Start over. So I studied anthropology. I wanted to be an archaeologist, but here I am doing equity work. So that didn't work out. But I went to UMass Amherst. I'm born and raised in Massachusetts. I studied public policy at Brown for graduate school, and I'm just excited to be here. And I feel like I'm all over the place, but no, I'm just excited to be here, and I'm really honored to be on this panel. Y'all are amazing. I don't have kids, I have plants, but I feel like I have a lot to learn from you.
Wait till they start asking for college tuition.
But yeah, that's me.
Outstanding. Thank you for all those introductions. Let me start with the first question, and I'll pose this question to anyone, and we can just kind of round robin. Early in your career, or as a young adult, was there anything that inspired you to take the path that you've taken, or was there a person, a mentor, that kind of helped put you on a particular path?
I'll go. Well, for me, I think I've always had social justice work kind of flowing in my veins. And while I really was trying to be an archaeologist, my field school got canceled, so I took that as a sign. But it was in undergrad that I stepped into a leadership role, joining the Black Student Union, being vice president, and for me it was the death of Trayvon Martin that really sparked my shift into like, forget digging, forget classics. You can do work for better for people. And from there, that's where I kind of went. I ended up working with youth after that, and at the Children's Hospital for a while, and really realized that there's so many inequities that I wanted to do more. And so that's what drove me to go to grad school as well, to study public policy. But I really would say it was my experience in undergrad, just also being in a predominantly white institution and leading a Black organization really inspired myself to do more and step up and be a leader.
I'll add a whole lot of Black women. Honestly, I think Black women can solve all the world's problems. So anytime I can be around Black women, I'm happier and happier. But really, specifically through grade school in DC public schools, it was all of my Black women art teachers, my dance instructors, the music instructors, the art instructors, the theater instructors. They were all Black women. And the reason why they were inspirational, because home was difficult. I mean, my family was impoverished, and none of the adults struggle. All of the adults struggle with consistent work and jobs. They all struggle with mental health issues. They all struggle with abuse of alcoholism and drugs. And every single Black male was put in and out of the incarceration system. So it was a difficult place to grow up. And the one thing that kept me going to school and expanding my mind to all the other things that the world could offer was the arts. And I had a lot of Black women take care of me through the arts because they knew that the arts was a way to escape the struggles that we had at home. So I will say all the Black women.
Ashe, I absolutely agree with that. I led by giving praises to my Savior, because growing up I was told that I'll be two places, and that was dead or in jail. So when I think about the two things that really helped me in my life, one was having Sean Jr. I was raised in a single-parent home, oldest of four boys, lost my brother to gang violence, had Sean Jr. when I was 16, and I was gang involved myself. Sean became my why. Not having a father figure in my life, I said if I ever had kids, my kids would never grow up without a father like I did. But I had a mentor who said to me one day, you said that your son will never grow up without a father like you did, but the life you're living, your son is well on his way to growing up without a father. So it was that conversation with my mentor. And then he said something to me. He said, I see you have all these guys following you. Won't you take that negative energy and channel it into something positive? And he asked me if I had a job, and I said no. He He said, do you want one? I said, I would love one. He said, what type? I said, I would love to work in an office setting. So he gave me my first real job at Liberty Mutual in the financial district. A lot of people told him he was crazy for giving me that opportunity. I was going to ruin the partnership. Long story short, I was the best intern that summer, and it was that opportunity that propelled me to look at life different. He was the first black man that I saw in a suit and tie that I respected, because prior to that, any black man that I saw in a suit and tie I thought was a square. It was because all my mentors were, guys from around the way on the block who sold drugs. Like, that's how I got involved. He showed me what it meant to be a real man. He showed me what it meant to be a professional. He modeled to me what it meant to be a husband. So that's what really changed my life and got me down a road to looking at life differently and realizing what my path was going to be.
So that is a tough one to follow, but it's similar for me in the sense that I was really clear on what I wanted to do once I had my children, and so I had been in a lot of environments where there were inequities, right? And I didn't quite understand what was going on. I wasn't aware of what systemic inequities were, but I knew that there were disparate outcomes for people, and particularly people that look like me, particularly people who had other marginalized identities, whether they be people that were immigrants, folks that were LGBTQ, and then you add race on that, the outcomes were even worse. And so I knew there was something going on, but I didn't quite know what. And I worked for a lot of nonprofits who were doing the work because of the inequities that existed. And then when I had my children, I started to think about what could I do to make at least Boston a better place for them, right? And it wasn't being at the end of the inequities. It was how do you get at the root cause? So ideally, they aren't there anymore. And that's what really drew me to YW Boston, because our work is really trying to understand in organizations what are the root causes for the inequities that they have, and how can they change those so that everybody can thrive in that environment. And I think, having been an athlete, and I'd love to talk to you because I played overseas. I understood that you could have people who had very different backgrounds and lived experience, but they could come together as a team, as a unit, and be successful, so that I knew that it was possible in organizations. And so that's why I wanted to do the work that I do. It's in large part because of my kids, and I wanted them to have much better opportunity and chances if they lived in Boston than other youth were having up to that point.
Shay.
I'll just add a little bit to what some of them have said. Going through high school, I was an athlete. I was a basketball player as well. And I had anticipated playing in college. I was very good at math and science. And the summer after my senior year of high school, I started dislocating my shoulder. And I ended up dislocating my shoulder 15 times over the next 4 years. So that pretty much cut my ability, I think, to play basketball. But I decided to go to school for engineering. And I went to school for electrical engineering. And I used to play intramural basketball, play with some of the basketball players, and I hurt my shoulder again, one of those 15 times. And I was walking around the middle of my sophomore year, kind of bummed out. I'm thinking, I'm going to get fat, I'm going to get sloppy, I can't play basketball anymore. And someone rolled by me in a wheelchair, and the light bulb went on in my head. I said to myself, stupid, you're sitting here concerned about your shoulder, that you can go through rehab and you'll have the use of it back in 3 to 4 weeks. Here's somebody who will probably never have the use of their legs. So that transformed in my mind. Electrical engineering was cool, I liked it, but biomedical engineering gave me a purpose, because I saw the ability to use the intellect that I had been given to do something to benefit other people. And as I've gotten older in my career, I realized that if the only thing you're striving for is to make more money, you're going to be disappointed. Because there's more to life than just making money, getting a bigger car, bigger house, because there's somebody who will always have more of that than you. And if that's how you're kind of determining your worth, it's going to be disappointing. I've gone into the medical device arena, now the biotech arena, in order to help people. My startup, we're looking to meet an unmet need, but we're also trying to think about how are we going to give back to the community and help people with the funds that we give, the funds that we generate. So that's kind of what motivated me, what inspires me, but also what continues to push me to do some of the things I'm trying to do now. have another question for the panel. I have plenty of questions, so I don't think we'll be short on questions. In your career, what challenges or obstacles did you face that were significant that you may have thought would have stalled you or halted you? How did you deal with that, and how did you overcome any of those challenges? If you have an example of one.
I'll start. And part of this is based on your comment of if you are only focused on money, you will probably not get to a good outcome. So I went to business school, and after business school, I took a job at an investment bank, and I did that in part for the money, in large part for the money, because I had debt from business school, I had debt from undergraduate, and my parents, I was actually making more as an investment banker than my parents were making combined, even though they had been working far longer than I had. So I said, I'm going to go into investment banking. So I did. And it was not a good fit for me. But I said, if I could just do it for 5 years, I should have enough money to pay off the debt. And so I, was working in North Carolina, didn't have any family or friends down there. I bought a house. And 3 months after I bought my house, I got fired. So I had no job, I had a house, I was in an area where I didn't have real connection and friends. So it was a pretty low point for me. I certainly was stopped in my tracks for a bit, figuring, and woe is me for a little bit, right? Something had to be wrong with me for this to have happened, and licked my wounds for a little bit. And then I said, you know what? I can get out of this, right? And how do I do this? One foot in front of the other. And so I decided that I needed to find another job, and I didn't know where it was going to be, but I wasn't going to let money be the driver for the next opportunity that I took. I wanted to find something where I felt I was really making a difference, where it felt like it was going to be rewarding for me. And so I would wake up every morning, and I had to get dressed, and I had to go into my office, and that was part of the routine I established for myself, so I wasn't lying around in bed all day. But I was, dressed, I was, doing research to find jobs, I was reaching out to people, I was sending my resume out, and that helped me to start building back my confidence. And finding a job that I ended up really enjoying. And so I ended up finding a job back in Massachusetts, in Boston, working for an affordable housing organization. And I was going to be making less than what I was making for the bank, but I knew that it was going to fill a passion for me. And so I learned from that, not to let money be the driver, but for me, the mission of the organization and the work has to be the driver. And then I can figure out how to make the rest work around it.
Shay, thank you. For me, I think back to when my mother said to me that my father told her when she was pregnant that I wasn't his child. And I always remember, and it goes back to saying that if I had kids, so not having my dad there when he walked out of my life, I went to just about every middle school in the city of Boston before I was kicked out because I was too old and gang affiliated. The story was the same when I got to high school. And I spoke about Ed coming into my life, but in my junior year, I put my family's life in jeopardy. I was at the movie theater with my son and my girlfriend, who's my wife now. Had some words with some kids from a rival gang. Guns are flashed. I have one on me, and I don't react because I have my family with me. I have a decision to make that night. Do I call my boys and handle the situation, or do I call a basketball coach who took me out to dinner and said, Sean, I want you to play for me, but you got to change your grades, your friends, and your attitude. Long story short, I didn't, so he cut me. That night, I made a decision to call that coach instead of calling my boys and deal with that situation. He took me to a basketball camp on a college campus. When I went to that camp, the coach would have his players participate in the camp, and I destroyed his point guard. He couldn't guard me, and he couldn't get the ball over half court. Long story short, at the end of the week, I get that highest award that you can get for the camper, for the camp. The coach says, "Where's Brownie?" He says, "Stand up." He said, "That's going to be my point guard of the future." He was the first coach that recruited me for basketball. My dream school to go to for basketball was Boston College. I lost the opportunity to Boston College because of my grades from middle school to high school. BC said, much as we love you as an athlete, we can't do nothing with you because of your transcript. I played 1 year of high school basketball, and I went to college on a basketball scholarship. I never played basketball because I just didn't have the grades. But that senior year, when I did play, I got lucky. I went to a did a PG year at a prep school. From there, I had choices to go to any Division I school across the country. I chose to go to Merrimack College, which is a local Division II, because of my son. Had a great career at Merrimack 4 years. I led the nation in assists for my junior and senior year. Had opportunities to go play professional. And I chose to forego that because I knew I was going to be marrying my high school sweetheart. So I did that, and I founded my own nonprofit mentoring organization called Diamond Educators Mentoring. It was a mentoring organization for black men, black young boys in the city of Boston. Because a mentor in my life said to me, Ed Powell, and I don't know if some of you probably know Ed or have met Ed, said to me, if you can't do a whole lot, do a whole little. And I would always tell Ed that I love him for helping me become the man that I am today. And he said, you don't owe me anything. Do what I did for you for someone else. So I founded my own nonprofit mentoring organization called Diamond Educators and started to serve young men all across the city of Boston and the Boston Public Schools, which put me in position to lead this national organization and becoming a man and working on womanhood. So was that decision.
You have the most amazing story. I just want to read the book and see the movie, and I mean, run for president, please. It's an amazing story, brother. I appreciate you sharing. I'm still new to Massachusetts, so a great challenge is learning how to pronounce the names of the cities and towns here. Still working on it. I think I'm sort of in the midst of the greatest challenge. I mean, I'm running a state agency that, bureaucracy, government doesn't change fast. And I'm also running an agency. I'm one of two people of color running state agencies in the whole country, which is a challenge to find affinity amongst my colleagues. And also the arts have been dominated by European art. And I, being who I am, the reason why I am where I am is because of the art that is inherent in me as a black man, but also all the art that I was exposed to. So my priorities at the agency has been to center people who have been historically marginalized. So black and brown people, LGBTQ+, Native Americans, people with disabilities, people in rural communities. And that sometimes hasn't been very popular. But I am pushing and persevering. The arts are in the midst of a lot of those culture wars, right? We got books being banned and we got drag artists being banned both of those are like amazing things, like libraries and drag artists. They bring joy and education to people. And so my goal is to get every single banned book delivered to every single child, like Oprah's favorite things. Delivered by drag queens dressed like Oprah. I mean, it's so the art. And also, the art can sort of filter in every single part of our society. So I think the challenge is pivoting a whole agency. It's a big ship to turn, and making sure people know that we have amazing cultural organizations and artists in our state that are from other cultures, and we have to uplift them to the top of the support that we've been offering. So it's a bit of a challenge. It's an everyday challenge, and I think one of the things that's helped me to combat that is knowing who I am, being unabashedly willing to share who I am, also doing the work that I think people of color need to do when it comes to race, equity, and social justice. So I spent a lot of time learning about racialized trauma, radical self-care, colorism that exists, intersectionality, interpersonal violence, internal racism, and how people of color can perpetuate white supremacy practices. And all this stuff has helped me to stand in rooms with the highest elected officials and say, no, we're not doing that. We're doing this confidently. So I'm in the midst of my greatest challenge right now.
For me, I would say, so I started my role in Arlington as a DEI coordinator at the end of 2019, December to be exact, December 30th. And so 2020 in itself was my biggest challenge. The role was brand new. We were dealing with two pandemics, COVID, but also systemic racism. And I felt very alone. I had really strong leadership in town that supported me, but it was a challenge because for myself, I also was one of, I think I can count a few people of color doing the work within my department, and it was just very lonely and challenging, and I didn't know if I was going to stick it out. Due to the murder of George Floyd, DEI positions started to pop up like this in towns and cities, and I ended up being the one that folks kept calling. Also, my town manager at the time knew everyone and was like, let's talk to Jill. But because I had been in the role and my position wasn't created as a reaction to something, I had a different level of support, and the equity vision that our town had was thoughtful. And by February of 2021, the challenge of not knowing how to support other folks who were entering my sphere, and I set up a coalition. I was one of the co-founders of the Mass Municipal DEI Coalition, which is now thriving, and we're just about formalizing, but I took that challenge of feeling lonely and not knowing what to do and not having any, guidance from the state like other departments, to just create a group, pull practitioners together, and offer a space where folks can find community but also share best practices. And we're starting to build the platform of what DEI in municipalities should look like, because like I said, a lot of it is reactionary, where really you need to be thoughtful and know why you're committing to it, because just saying we value diversity, equity, inclusion, that's great. But if there's no actions behind it, then it's a waste of everybody's time. And most often the folks in those roles are people of color, and it's damaging. So I set up the coalition, and it's going great. I'm still now one of the longest lasting DEI directors. I've gone through 2 chairs because of turnover. So it's still a challenge, but it's pushing me to keep going, and really advocate at the state level to get something set up so that we can have better support for folks who are in these roles.
Thank you all for sharing, and I have to keep track of time here and do my job as a moderator, so I'm going to share one quick challenge from my perspective, because I think it may hit on an area that could resonate with people. Then we'll go on to another question, and I'll try and move things along a little bit quicker. One of the biggest challenges I've ever had in my life, and some of my friends know this, the start of my spring semester in my freshman year, I was 18 years old. I lost my mother suddenly, very unexpectedly. Fortunately, I had decided to come home from school that weekend, so at least I was there when it happened. And like most families with black women, they are the hub. Everything revolves around them. So when I lost her, I have 3 brothers. We all just scattered. My dad was scattered. And it literally took about 7 to 8 years for me to even deal with that. And when I look at the decisions I could have made, I could have dropped out of school because of the stress or distress. But one of the things that motivated me was that she had aspirations for me. She had expectations for me. So sometimes when you lose people, it's traumatic, but that can be a motivating factor as well, because you don't want to let that person down. She knew what I was capable of before I knew what I was capable of. So between her and my father, that's one of the biggest challenges, and that still affects me to this day. But in the back of my mind, I remember the lessons that she taught me and the example that she taught me. So I just wanted to share that for anyone who's lost somebody or who will lose someone. It's part of life. You have to deal with it. But it's not how many times you get knocked down. It's how many times you get back up.
Sure.
So let me ask this question. We talked about challenges that we've all faced. Can you give us an example of a success that you had and how that's made you feel, how you reacted to it? And we'll try and do them quickly so we can get to another question.
All right. quick success. So I, again, work at YW Boston. My predecessor, Sylvia Farrell-Jones, who was fantastic, a wonderful woman, died because of lung cancer. It was unexpected, and the organization asked me if I would serve as interim CEO after she passed to help us through a strategic planning process. And I think one of the things I am most proud of is that at the end of that process, the board asked me to stay on without the interim title. And why that was important to me is a couple of reasons. One, Sylvia meant a lot to me, and so I wanted to make sure I was supporting the organization and moving us forward in a direction that would be both, make her proud and help the organization be sustainable. Second, when I accepted the role, I was very clear with the board that I was going to be the CEO in a way that worked for me, which was going to be different in some respects than my predecessor. And I didn't know if I was going to be successful. I didn't know if I was going to like being a CEO. But them coming back to me and saying, hey, you know what, we'd like you to stay in this role without the interim title, said to me that I could be a CEO in the way that felt true to who I am as a person, and that I didn't have to be like a cisgendered white man to be a CEO or my fabulous predecessor. I could be different and still be successful and be true to me. And so that was a real acknowledgement that I could be me and be successful.
Ashe. When I think about, and I'm tying it all into my life story, right? When I think about that and I think about the seat that I sit in today, that is a success story in itself. Again, when you're told that you're supposed to be dead or in jail, and I stand up here today as a national leader. But for me, when I think about all the trauma and pain that I've went through in my life, a true success story for me is dealing with that trauma. So 6 years ago, I began to deal with that trauma. My wife would always say to me, you should talk to someone, you should seek therapy. And I would say, I'm not crazy. Like, I subscribe to that, men don't cry mantra and things of that nature. And for me, 6 years ago, I went on this journey where it was about a ruthless self-examination. And it was a 3-day weekend when I just went away, a part of this MKP weekend, and dealt with all that trauma and pain. And it wasn't until that experience that I was able to deal with my father not being in my life. I went back to that 10-year-old boy and dealt with that pain. I was able to deal with losing my brother to gang violence because I wore a mask. I never dealt with that pain. And it wasn't until we've all heard hurt people hurt people. And there's a lot of hurt people who have been charged with healing and dealing with our young people and haven't done their work. So for me, that was really important 6 years ago when I went on that journey and started to deal with that trauma pain. My wife used to say that I was heartless and things of that nature, and I just couldn't connect to people, but that's how I was raised. And that's not the man that I want to be. That's not how I want to show up in the world. So it was really important for me to start doing that work and then really getting connected to my faith. I've always believed in God, but I didn't go to church. And it wasn't until, again, I started to deal with this pain that, I started to show up in church. I started to put my faith in God. And when I started to do that, he started to guide my steps, and my life turned out to be truly different. So those are the successes that I like to share. Obviously, I lead a national organization that started in Chicago. Boston was the first expansion city. And there was a lot of pressure on me to do this thing right in Boston because folks wanted to know if the same success can be replicated that was had in Chicago and Boston. We've had amazing success here in Boston, which has allowed us to be the catalyst for expansion across the country. We're now in LA, Kansas City, Dallas, Seattle, internationally in London, Washington, D.C. This year, we're expanding to Pittsburgh, and in the future, the Twin Cities. So, when I think about my story and where I'm at today, again, it's just, I know it's nothing but the man above, and I'm truly grateful.
About 10 years ago, I got the rights to Bob Marley's Estate of Songs to adapt it into a new children's musical. And that play sold out at the theater in D.C. and then transferred off Broadway, and it sold out. Went on a national tour, and it sold out. And now it's licensed by a script licensing house, and it gets produced all over the world, which helps to pay for that college tuition. But that also led to a lot of other brands reaching out to me to adapt adapt them. So I also worked with Jim Davis to adapt a Garfield musical. Garfield the musical with Catitude. It's hilarious. Also, Peabody resident Chris Van Allsburg, I got to adapt Jumanji into a play. And then just a couple of months ago, the world premiere of Make Way for Ducklings happened in Boston that I adapted. I am now I got 3 commissions on my plate. I'm adapting Monster Mash into a musical. You all remember that song? Some of you may remember an old book and movie called The Bingo Long Traveling All-Stars and Motor Kings. I'm adapting that into a musical, and then also The Little Rascals into a musical. So that project led to a lot more projects, but the main thing is that it's bringing a lot of joy to a lot of people all over the world, and so I'm excited about all that.
Shay.
So for successes, I'm using plural. I just count the thank yous that I get. The work that I do daily is difficult. I oversee 3 commissions. I deal with all of the hate and bias and discrimination complaints and incidents. I do programming, and I'm really putting a lot of my effort now into the organizational equity. So really working with our employees and looking at our policies and practices. Sometimes it feels like I'm not getting anywhere, but then I get a voicemail or I get a card in the mail from a random resident that says, "Oh, I attended this program. It was amazing. Thank you. I'm using this booklet of resources that you shared in my classroom." So I'd say all of the work over the last 3.5 years is successful. And it's those little reminders that every little thing that you do matters. But it's not done. So I would say still more work to do, but no specific big success. It's all of the little pieces coming together.
It's coming. It's definitely coming. When I think about the title of this panel, Journeys of Resilience to Excellence, what you're seeing here is 5 individuals with very different backgrounds, very different pathways to get to where they are. There is no one way to be successful. Success, in my opinion, you guys, if you think differently, definitely push back. Success can look different for each person, but I think the one thing that jumps out to me is the persistence that each of these individuals have had in the careers that they have accumulated for themselves. It's very impactful and interesting for me to see your backgrounds from so many different perspectives. So I applaud you all for what you've done and what you continue to do. It definitely is inspiring to me. So I thank you for allowing me to be a part of this panel. One of the closing questions that I have for everyone is, what lessons have you learned along this journey from resilience to excellence that you would want to impart or share with this group? Something you want to leave them all with?
I'll start. For me, vulnerability has been a huge lesson that I've learned, and that you can't do this alone. I've always believed that. I used to say to my wife that as long as my kids tell me they love me, that's all that mattered to me. And she was like, that's not a good way to live. And going back to that weekend, when I went on that weekend and opened up, I say, for like Pandora's box in terms of my emotions, I get emotional when I talk about it. I tell people I cried more in the past 6 years than I have my entire life.
That's all right.
Right.
And when I came off that weekend, I thought I was going crazy. There were some things that I was dealing with, and I just couldn't connect to what it was about for me. But I have opened up all these emotions that I was never connected to. And my wife said to me, you should talk to my mentor. And when I went and spoke to him and told him what I was going through, he said, you'll be surprised. Some of the brightest people you're in a room with are going through the same thing. And he said, go talk to this person. And when I went and talked to that that person, he shared other experiences. And that's when I realized that I wasn't alone, and it was okay. It was okay to be vulnerable. It was okay to cry. So for me, understanding that, this work that we do, you can't do it alone. It truly takes a collective collaboration plus a collective effort equals collective impact. And I think about that from an organizational standpoint when I do this work, but also as I'm building relationships in my personal life and building that support. So I'll put a pin in it there.
I'll say the extreme value of self-care. Dealing with the trauma from the past, really dealing with it, putting things in your body that only add to your health and supposed to take away from your health, exercising regularly, practicing gratitude. But the other thing I will say, and I'll keep it short, the other thing I would say is making a decision about what side of history you want to be on when all of this is said and done. We're in a tumultuous time, and people will be reading it and studying about this. And if your name is in those history books, what do you want people to say about the work that you did to combat everything that we're dealing with right now?
I tell myself these few things every day, and this is my lessons for you. Show up as your authentic self. I have been, again, in predominantly white spaces, feeling like I need to fit into a certain box, and one day it clicked and I said, nope. The idea of professionalism and how it is viewed. I show up, I wear sneakers every day, I wear my hoops, I wear my hair out, and I don't change the way I talk. I show up as my authentic self, and that's the best way to be able to do the work you need to do. But I also remind myself that everybody is doing the best they can with the tools they have. You don't know what someone is dealing with in any given day. Folks don't know what you're dealing with. And so you need to have some grace, but just recognize, and I like to think that everyone is doing the best that they can, even though it might not seem like it. But keeping that in mind helps me move forward each day.
And I will add, I agree wholeheartedly with everything all the panelists have shared. And I was going to say grace being one of the things. I think both grace for oneself and grace for others. We are all human, doing the best that we can. We all make mistakes. No one is perfect. And sometimes we beat up on ourselves more than other people do. And so we need to have grace for ourselves as well as grace for others. And the other thing I would add is agency. And particularly for people of color, people with marginalized identities, we don't often understand the agency and the power that we do have. And it's important that we claim that and understand that there are things that we can influence, there are things that we can change, and we can't give our power away to other people.
The one thing I'd like to add is mentorship. If you are fortunate enough to find a mentor, a good one, hold on to that mentor. I didn't mention I'm adjunct faculty for Bunker Hill Community College, and my wife works at UMass Lowell. I've mentored 4 or 5 students at UMass Lowell. I have another 5 or 6 at Bunker Hill. And one of the reasons why I mentor is similar to maybe Sean's background, because I didn't have a mentor growing up. I went through corporate America. I'm bumping my head into walls, trying to figure out what's going on with the politics, what position should I go for, and it can be tough. So 2 things from a mentor perspective. Find a mentor to help you to traverse your own pathway in this world, but also be a mentor to someone. You all have experiences and knowledge that someone else can benefit from, so don't be afraid to share that experience. You will find it, I find it very valuable to see my young mentees doing things that I probably was afraid to do at their age, because now I have 30 or 40 years of experience and perspective that I can give them. The other thing that I would say to everybody is don't be afraid to try something. Don't be afraid to do something different. If you hear or picked up on some of the stories that were shared, most of us didn't go on a straight path to get to where we are now. We went this way, we went that way. I've had some good experiences, some bad experiences, but the thing is, you learn from the good experiences as well as the bad experiences. So all of that helps fortify you and give you perspective on this world. The last thing I'll share with you is something I kind of started out with. What are you doing to help somebody else? I'm excited about the things that I have coming up, not because it's going to bring more revenue into my household. That's a nice thing, but I'm also looking at how am I going to use what I'm doing to benefit the communities I'm in, benefit the people who didn't have the opportunities that I may have had growing up. So I'm trying to leave this world a better place. So that's how I want to, that's the legacy that I want to do for me. I want to thank this excellent panel. I learned so much from sitting here listening to them. I hope you all have learned a whole lot. I also want to thank all of you for sitting out in the rain with your umbrellas, ponchos.
Covered.
Yes, you all are amazing. We're sitting here covered, so. But can we give a round of applause for the panel here? Thank you all for your attention. And I think, are we at time, or we have a quick question?
So does that mean if we call you because we need assistance, you all would answer your phone?
Yeah.
I am one of his successors.
Yes.
Making great things happen in Salem, too. Amazing things.
So if I call on you, you won't answer.
Yeah.
I will say yes for me, and I'll let everybody
Absolutely.
answer themselves.
Yeah.
Yes.
We got you.
All right.
So this was great. I hope you enjoyed yourselves. Thank you all so very much. Enjoy the rest of the Juneteenth celebrations.
All right.
Excellent job.
Hello. All right, we're just about to kick off our speaking program today. But before I do, there's a few announcements and some housekeeping. For bathrooms, we have porta potties to my left over by the basketball courts. And then behind me, we have handicap accessible bathrooms right here. You will have to kind of go out through the main entrance to get those, but they're literally back left. And then I'd like to thank our funders this year, the Massachusetts Cultural Council, the Woburn Cultural Council, Cummings Properties, I'm missing someone, as well as our sponsors. We've got Lord Hobo. They've got a great table over there giving out samples. Santander Bank, they have provided a good amount of volunteers that are around, so make sure you say hi to them. Rich Cruz, Connect Pay, and Charlie Melia. They're a great payroll service, so if you're not happy, definitely check them out. And last but not least, we got NIA Networking, Best of Boston, so make sure we check out our sponsor tables. I'd also like to acknowledge our community partners, the Woburn Democratic City Committee, Woburn Welcomes, I'm definitely forgetting people. The Woburn Public Library, my mom's like right in front of me. St. John's Baptist Church, obviously. I'm probably missing somebody. But I also like to thank the City of Woburn, Mayor Galvin, who's been really supportive of this event for the last few years, the Department of Public Works, the Parks Department, Woburn Recreation. Basically, every state department has kind of come together to make this happen, so I really, really appreciate that. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Mayor Scott Galvin to kick us off officially with the Juneteenth proclamation. Thank you.
So thank you, Phil. And Phil recognized everybody who made this event come to fruition today, and really want to double up what he said. But without Phil, this event wouldn't happen, and he's been an absolute rock star putting it together. He's a great planner, and he's been in my office a number of times, and he's really a pleasure to work with. So again, Phil, thank you for what you do, not only today, but what you've done for the community. Thank you very much. And I love the red corduroys. I said, I think I might have had a pair of those growing up in high school, but you look better than I do. So this is a proclamation for Juneteenth Independence Day. Whereas July 4th is the celebration of freedom for the United States, Juneteenth is a celebration of freedom for African Americans after the Civil War. And whereas Juneteenth is the oldest nationally commemoration of the end of slavery in the United States and is annually celebrated on June 19th. And whereas, on a large scale, the celebration of Juneteenth reminds each of us of the precious promises of freedom, equality, and opportunity, which are at the core of the American dream. And whereas this day, in hundreds of communities across the country, including Woburn, people of all races, nationalities, and religion join hands to acknowledge the painful history and lasting systematic impact of slavery and racial injustice in the United States. Juneteenth Independence Day is an opportunity to recommit ourselves to the goal of creating a more equal and just society, an effort that continues today. Now, therefore, I, Scott Galvin, Mayor of the City of Woburn, do hereby proclaim that June 19th, on Monday, will be Juneteenth Independence Day in the City of Woburn, and urge all citizens of Woburn to take cognizance of this event and participate fittingly in the observance. Thank you.
All right, next up is State Representative Michelle Cicolo. But before I do, I forgot, I just want to acknowledge all of our city council members and our other elected officials in Woburn who came out to support today. Thank you all.
Good afternoon. As Phil said, I'm Representative Michelle Cicolo, and I represent Wards 1 and 7 here in Woburn. I had a 3.5-minute speech, but given that it's raining, I want to yield most of my time to our fantastic Attorney General, who's our first African-American statewide elected official, and we are so honored to have her here today. I'll just say very briefly that there are some good things going on in the legislature. This past redistricting allowed us to create several new additional majority-minority districts. And that has resulted in 8 new members of the African American, Black, and Latino Legislative Caucus being elected this past session. So it gives me some hope. But in total, that only brings our numbers of all people of color in the legislature to about 15%, if that. And we know that in society we have far more members. So we have a ways to go to work together. I had much longer remarks, as I said, but I think one of the things that helps us work together to advance this equity and social justice is collaboration, and also honoring and celebrating our Black heroes among us. That's something we do quite a bit. In Lexington, we have, in February, Black History Month. We have banners and events all month long, and I encourage anyone to join us in those events next year. And I just want to do a quick shout out to Senator Friedman, who she and I together have a terrific bill that just passed last session, the Quock Walker bill, and I'm hoping she's going to say a little bit more about it. Maybe not. But I invite you all to join us on July 8th, where we celebrate Quock Walker, who was the first African-American whose court case went all the way to the Supreme Court and resulted in Massachusetts declaring slavery unconstitutional in 1783. So we are very excited about that bill. So anyway, thank you all for being here, even in the rain. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Representative Haggerty.
Thank you, Michelle, and thank everybody for being here today. And Mayor Galvin, I want to thank SCI for their continued efforts in doing wonderful community events for us and pulling people together. And of course, everybody who actually showed up today in the rain, brought their umbrellas, brought their rain jackets, and we know spirits are high regardless of if things are a bit damp today. Special thanks, of course, to our Attorney General. It's wonderful to have her here in our community, and my colleagues in the legislature who are with us today, and of course, members of the City Council and other elected officials. We stand together today to celebrate, to remember, and to recommit ourselves to the mission that is equality. The creation of Juneteenth as a federal holiday, as was mentioned, was in 2021. It's critically important, yet long overdue, recognition of our own history. We know the journey of how America came to celebrate Juneteenth has been difficult. It's been ugly. We know we have more work to do. We know we still must beat back the forces of hatred and bigotry. But still, we come together to celebrate and remember. We celebrate the work of all those who struggled for equality. We celebrate the end of slavery. We celebrate each other for supporting one another and coming together on days like today. And on days like these, I'm always filled with a strong sense of pride for the changes that we've taken place in our own community here in Woburn over the past few years to better embrace and to better celebrate Woburn's growing diversity. But still, we remember, Juneteenth is a day that reminds us of the struggle faced by the Black Americans on that arduous journey in the search for their freedom. This day serves as a reminder of the horrors experienced by those who remained enslaved long after the Emancipation Proclamation was declared and the long-delayed freedom experienced by millions of Americans. We celebrate this day. We should not only reflect on the struggles faced by our fellow Americans, but recommit ourselves to the ongoing journey toward racial equality and inclusion. So let this day stand not just as a recognition of our country's past, but also as a call to action. Because our work is not yet finished, and even today, we need our public policy to better reflect these goals. We need our schools to better reflect these goals. We need our neighborhoods to better reflect these goals, and we need our families to better reflect these goals. I'll leave you with this quote by abolitionist Harriet Tubman. Every great dream begins with a dreamer. Always remember, you have within you the strength, the patience, and the passion to reach for the stars and change the world. And I join you all today and every day in that effort. Thank you. And now it's my great privilege to introduce our great Senator, Cindy Friedman.
Thank you, Rich. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Mayor. And thanks, everybody. You are really the true believers for being out here today. And you will get the incredible gift of hearing from our Attorney General. I want to thank Jennifer. I want to thank Phil, the Woburn Library, the City of Woburn, who once again has put together an amazing event. I was at the first one of these, and it was a small little thing in front of the library, and it has grown to be something truly celebratory and wonderful and meaningful. So I am incredibly proud of the City of Woburn. This year's event theme is celebrating a world of Black excellence, and I am so happy to be here to do that. Our world, our Commonwealth, is full of Black excellence, and we don't hear about it enough. And we don't have to look very far, because I am so honored to speak before my friend, our State Attorney General, Andrea Campbell, who embodies Black excellence, actually human excellence, every day in our Commonwealth. And I'm very jealous of Kaithu, who's going to be able to introduce the Attorney General, but very fitting. Andrea has been an incredible leader in her role thus far, and I'm so grateful to her for that leadership as Massachusetts continues to be a beacon of strength and hope, protecting our way of life and the rights of all of our citizens, regardless of race, ethnicity, or religion. I want to take a moment to reflect for all of us on the 2.5 years it took from the enactment of the Emancipation Proclamation to the last slaves being notified of their freedom in Galveston. 2.5 years. The over 150 years it took to make Juneteenth a federal holiday, and the many, many years of struggle, oppression, and strife in between that, our Black friends and neighbors in this country have endured and continue to endure. By gathering here, we are all affirming that the society we all want to share in Massachusetts and the United States is not one that shies away from the troubling histories of the past, but one that recognizes where we have been and commits us to continuing to strive for justice and equity for all. Justice and equity in our government, in our civic institutions, and in the way we treat each other. For honestly acknowledging our history and all that it has brought with it, including the explicit and implicit bias and racism built into the very core of our country and throughout our history, allows us the chance to change course and right wrongs and build a future that is truly just and fair for everyone. Thank you for affording me this opportunity to speak and for being part of creating a new direction and a new history. I am proud to celebrate Juneteenth here with you all in Woburn. And it gives me my great honor to introduce our speaker, who is going to introduce the Attorney General. Did I say it right? Kafui.
Good afternoon. On January 18th, 2023, Andrea Joy Campbell was sworn in to be the 45th Attorney General of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Pledging to build economic prosperity and stability for all residents, prioritize the mental health and well-being of children, stop cycles of incarceration and violence, and ensure that people across the state have access to the AG's office regardless of their zip code, language, or ability. Growing up in Roxbury, Andrea's life was filled with instability. When Andrea was 8 months old, she lost her mother to a car accident while going to visit her father in prison. She and her brothers bounced around, living with relatives and sometimes in foster care until her father got out of prison when she was 8 years old and she met him for the first time. Andrea and her family relied on public housing and food assistance while her grandmother struggled with alcoholism. Her two brothers sadly cycled in and out of the prison system. She lost her twin brother Andre when he passed away while in custody of the Department of Corrections as a pretrial detainee. Through all of this, Andrea persevered, thanks to loving relatives, community support, and a network of teachers who encouraged her. She turned pain into purpose. She graduated from Boston Latin School and then worked her way through college with the help of grants and student loans, graduating from Princeton University and UCLA Law School. After earning her law degree, she worked as a legal services attorney for the Ed Law Project, defending the rights of children and their families, particularly those with disabilities. Andrea also practiced law at Proskauer LLP as an employment attorney, and ultimately left to serve the public as general counsel at the Metropolitan Area Planning Commission, working across 101 cities and towns to address regional challenges in healthcare access, transportation, affordable housing, and climate change. Andrea served as a legal counsel to Governor Deval Patrick, working to improve our education and transportation systems and move forward an agenda of equity across the state. In 2015, Andrea successfully ran for the Boston City Council, becoming the first woman to represent District 4 on the council. Her first piece of legislation was the Community Preservation Act, which still generates over $20 million annually for new affordable housing, historical preservation, and parks and open space. In 2018, she was unanimously elected City Council President, the first Black woman to hold the title. Please join me in welcoming our Attorney General, Andrea Campbell.
Let me get my notes. They are still dry, somewhat. Good afternoon, everyone. I know it's raining. I don't want you in this rain. I was like, where are these people's tent? But good afternoon, everyone. I'm happy to be here with each and every one of you. And of course, I too want to thank the organizers for putting together this incredible event to celebrate Juneteenth. And it's really great to hear that the event continues to grow and get bigger and bigger and bigger, which is what we all want. We want folks to understand what Juneteenth is, the historical context, of course, of this country, but more importantly, to roll up their sleeves, get to action to address racial injustice. So thank you to all of the organizers. Kafui, did I say that right? Kafui. Got it. I was like, get her a chair. She's a speaker. But thank you for that incredible introduction, and thank you for the kind words. Congratulations to you. She just graduated from Woburn High School. She's going off to the University of Pittsburgh. She's working with young people every day on mental health issues and so much more, which is really a testament to what's happening in Woburn, but most importantly, what our young people are doing. And the media doesn't often cover the successes and what our young people are doing every single day. So thank you for your kind words and for your own leadership. I, of course, want to thank all of the electeds behind me. You already know who they are, so I'm not going to name each one. But also the mayor and the local councilors and school committee members who are here. I come from local government. I know how important local government is. So thank you for your leadership and for everything you do to support the residents of Woburn. I also want to just take a quick moment to thank all of you for being here, sitting in the rain. There are some, of course, back there with young people or folks who may have disabilities, but just thank you for being here and showing up. Really appreciate it. And a quick acknowledgement, I don't do this work by myself. Carlos, who is on my team, is over here, along with Trooper Brown, Sergeant Murphy, and Mary Freely, who is also part of our healthcare division. She's in the back with an umbrella. God bless you. My incredible team members who are here in the rain, also supporting this important occasion means a lot, and I do the work in partnership with them, so thank you to my team. This weekend, of course, maybe even starting last week, I was at events last week, and of course on Monday, our country and our Commonwealth will celebrate Juneteenth, marking, of course, the announcement of the emancipation of enslaved black people in Galveston, Texas in 1865. And it's Juneteenth because it took place on June 19th in 1865. And some have suggested that maybe it was a myth, but regardless of that, it remains a holiday that has been commemorated, frankly, even by black folks, even before the federal government caught up to them, for years, including in Texas and other states across the country. But one thing I want to stress is the first black woman to serve in this role as Attorney General, and it is an honor and privilege to be your Attorney General. It wasn't like black people were just sitting around passively waiting for someone to come and free them. There are other things happening. And so as I stand here in this historic role, I know deeply that I stand on the shoulders of so many who came before me. Before Juneteenth, you had folks fighting, of course, to push for our President Lincoln to sign the Emancipation Proclamation, which happened in 1862. You had folks pushing for the 13th Amendment to our Constitution, which happened in January of 1865, before Juneteenth. Later was ratified. You had folks pushing for the 14th Amendment, which was passed by the Senate afterwards, but soon thereafter, which tells me that folks were organizing and pushing for folks to change laws and policy in this country for a long time. And it wasn't just folks in Congress, which of course at that time was predominantly white, entirely white. It was folks in communities on the ground, of activists of all different stripes, including black people, most of whom are unnamed and whose stories are never told, that were part of that grassroots movement to create change then, and most importantly, to create change now, to allow me to stand here and so many others to represent another historic victory. So I'm really grateful for the leadership of those folks who often remain unnamed, because they've inspired Juneteenth and so many other traditions and holidays in this country. And I often say trailblazers of all different stripes and backgrounds who fought for a universal right to vote, who fought, of course, for a universal right to a high-quality education, and to ensure that the rights and the privileges and the individual freedoms in our state constitution and the federal one were afforded to everyone, regardless of their demographic, regardless of, say, where they lived or where they came from. I know I also stand on the shoulders of a beautiful and resilient black people, a narrative that sometimes is also lost in our media. But black people who stood up for civil rights, freedom, inclusion, including interracial love, who stood up to integrate our public schools, to push for our higher institutions to accept everybody, for our law schools to accept everybody, who fought, of course, to make sure that we could live in any community we so chose, who testified and were beaten, and I'm thinking about Fannie Lou Hamer. Maybe she's my muse, because everywhere I go I've been naming her. But she was beaten to make sure our political systems included everyone and granted access to all of us and represented all of us. A people, of course, who were enslaved, but picking cotton to build wealth for this country. A people who started businesses in the face of significant financial discrimination, not just to grow wealth for their own families, but for their communities and, of course, for this country as well. A people who became lawyers at prestigious law firms. And let me tell you, in Massachusetts, it's still difficult to become a name partner or an equity partner at a law firm in Massachusetts. The numbers in some instances sometimes can be in the single digits. But a people who fought for lawyers to be able to take their rightful place in farms and other places. A people who, of course, invented beautiful culture, artistry, music, and so much more. And, of course, black women. Black women, black women, black women, who did a lot and whose stories are definitely in different moments forgotten. and who I, of course, celebrate every single day, who in many ways were the fabric, the foundation, the underpinning of our American democracy, because they served in so many different roles: caregivers, mothers, wives, workers, freedom fighters, teachers, emotional confidants, including if they were enslaved, innovators, and most importantly, leaders. These are the shoulders I stand on, and any time that I have a bad day and I wake up and the work ahead seems hard, I am inspired by those who came before, and it is exactly what sustains my faith, my hope, my courage, and my optimism to keep pressing forward. So you will rarely find me not smiling, frankly, or expressing joy, because they had to do so much more in a context that was a lot harder. But what does this mean for today? Yes, you can clap. Someone was like, she was trying to clap with paper and rain. But what does this mean for today? I think, one, it reminds us that we have significant stories we still have to tell. As there are folks in this country, sadly, looking to frankly, prohibit us from teaching this history in our schools. All of us should be concerned about that. This history is critical, not just for Black people or people of color, for all of us. Because if we want to move ahead, we have to understand that context. We have to understand at moments our own very Constitution didn't even define my humanity as 100%. I was 3/5 of a human being and those who look like me. It's important our people know that history. I also think it's important for young people to know that history, especially youth of color, who may feel distraught or don't think that they can do better than the last generation. And I say, well, look in the mirror and know what came before, because that should give you a sense of hope and pride, and also a passion to forge ahead to go after your own dreams. And so as we take on that fight to make sure we are educating, and this is why events like this today are so critical, it's to pass on critical education from different perspectives, including from the previous panel that is doing remarkable work, and thank them for showing up today to do their work and to speak about this history in their own context. But it also reminds me we have significant work to do. It's not merely about education and celebration, or one day, or 1 month in February. It's every day. And it's us asking the tough questions. What are we going to do, one, personally, to address bias we may have, to address the inner things that get in the way of us seeing the humanity in someone else? And then the second, what are we going to do in our respective work, our roles, our passion, whatever we do professionally? What action are we going to take to close the significant disparities that still exist, including in Massachusetts, in this country? Racial disparities, for example, in every context you can think about. In healthcare, access to housing, who's incarcerated, those who are living in poverty, those who experience more violence, more trauma. It is still predominantly people of color, still predominantly Black folks, including in Massachusetts. So that action piece is critically important. And I'm proud to serve as the Attorney General because I know we have a whole host of tools, legislative tools, litigation and legal tools. We have a platform, of course, to educate folks, community engagement. We have a grant-making tool. We give out grants to the community to do significant things. And my job, along with the team, is to make sure we utilize every single one of those tools to address those disparities, but also to do it in such a way that it brings people together. And I'll give you one example. As we take on the fight for reproductive justice, we also want to take on the fight for maternal health. Right now, as a Black woman, you are 2 times more likely to die giving birth than your white counterpart. So we just put out a grant, a maternal health grant, to address those issues and to fund organizations on the ground all across the Commonwealth who are currently applying to that grant to be able to scale up their work and to close those gaps using our grant-making tool. But we also want to bridge the Black maternal health conversation with the maternal health conversation happening in our poor white communities. And yes, we have poor white rural communities right here in Massachusetts. It's an opportunity to do some coalition building and to use those same tools to address those other inequities as well that exist in Massachusetts because of poverty. As this country is so divisive at the national level, Massachusetts has the opportunity to lead, to bring people together, to demonstrate what it looks like to get things done, and most importantly, to use our progressive laws, our historical context, all of it, to continue to lead this nation. That's what we want to be a part of in the AG's office. That's what we're going to continue to do every single day. I could go on and on about all the other things we're doing. I'm not keeping you people in the rain. Absolutely not, including some of our elders. Get out of the rain. But I will just add this. As I go to more conferences and I have to engage with other AGs in other states to push forward the work, including protecting our young people and their mental health, health disparities, protecting our democracy, so much more, I always feel so blessed. I was going to say so damn blessed. I'm just going to say so damn blessed to get back on a plane and to come back to Massachusetts, because we do live in the best state in the nation. We do. And we have everything it would take, not in Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, everything it would take right here in Massachusetts to address disparities, to lead the way nationally what that looks like, and to do it in such a way that it brings people together regardless of your party affiliation, where you live, your demographic, to see the humanity in one another, to work collaboratively to get things done. So thank you all so much for being here today. Let Juneteenth, frankly, inspire you to keep forging ahead, to keep moving forward, because if they could, we can. And to most importantly, reflect on the education you learned today and to take action to get things done. And thank you again to all of the elected officials who are here today who do tremendous work on your behalf. I look forward to doing in partnership with all of you and so many others. Thank you so very much.
Thank you all. A big thank you to all of our public elected officials and speakers. Thank you to Kafui for introducing the Attorney General. I do want to say, because I keep forgetting all the acknowledgments, I actually really have to acknowledge the Juneteenth 2023 committee. I wouldn't be able to do this without all of you, so I'm just going to read out all of your names, and if you're around, give a wave. So in alphabetical order: Amy Cardoso, Richard Cruz, Hermaine Gordon, Jennifer Jones, Joey James, Rebecca Michelle Woburn, Memorial High School, class of 2023, Gretchen Pollard Ramos, Marie France Santiago, Diane Shinto, Karen Turner, Valerie Verdier, Woburn Memorial High School, class of 2025, and Mike West. And then just real quick, I want to shout out the SCI staff, who's been a big supporter, obviously, of making this event happen, and is kind of the organization that's really making sure that we can make this happen. So I want to thank SCI President David Crowley, SCI AmeriCorps Program Coordinator Jonah Xaviera Fabian, SCI AmeriCorps Program Director Elizabeth Hamill, our Vaccine Equity Coordinator Vitaly Mamaeus, and our Communications Development Manager Leah Mulrennan. And just to wrap up the speaking portion of the event, I'd like to invite Boston-based musical artist Eva Davenport to sing Lift Every Voice and Sing. Thank you.
You want to? Yeah, there you go. That'll be free.
Blessings. Blessings, everyone. Happy Juneteenth weekend. Woohoo! Please sing along with me if you know the words. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. Ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song song full of the hope that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the faith that the present has brought us, facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. God of our wearies, God of our silent tears, thou who hast brought us thus far on this way, thou who hast by thy might led us into the light, keep us forever in the path we pray, lest our feet stray from the places, our God, where we met thee, lest our hearts, drunk from the wine of the world, we forget thee, shadowed beneath thy land, may we forever stand true to our God, true to our native land. All praise our power.
Cool. Thank you all for being here for the our speaking program. We're going to take about 10-15 minutes to transition, and then at around 3 o'clock we will have our student performances from various students from Woburn Memorial High School. So stick around, go check out our food trucks and our vendors, and get some beer or wine or cider over at the tents, and come back here in about 10 minutes. Thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hey, can you hear us at the tents over there? All right, yes. Hi, my name is Amy Cardoso. I'm a Woburn Memorial High School teacher, and I have the honor of advising what I think is one of the best clubs at the high school, and that is WMHS Embrace. So if you don't know about our club, we are the Multicultural and Social Justice Club at the high school. Our mission statement reads as follows. The Embrace Club is a diverse and inclusive group of WMHS students of different races, immigration statuses, religions, cultures, ethnicities, sexual orientations, gender identities, ability statuses, and political affiliations. It was founded by WMHS Assistant Principal Steve Martin in 2018 and is a safe space for challenging discussions and topics that affect the lives of students and the people they care about. Our goal is to spread awareness as well as to attend and host events on issues surrounding race, culture, heritage, social justice efforts, equity, and more. We are open to and accepting of everyone, all WMHS students. So we have a nice lineup right now for some performances. The first club member that I'm going to invite to the stage is Sora Mia Brisa, and she's going to be reading you an original poem she wrote entitled Black Excellence.
So, this is a poem, next is the song. Yeah. An RF clip. Careful. Don't fall.
Black Excellency. I am rooted with royalty. I am rooted with dignity. When you see me, you'll see my integrity. for I am Black excellency. My skin shines like it's heavenly, and I intend to leave behind a big legacy, because I am Black excellency. Though I will leave behind this big legacy, there's more within my community. When we gather, you'll see a big family, for we have conquered huge difficulties. We have held and shed tears with consistency, but we are still Black excellency. See, my roots don't just come from difficulty, they come from diversity. My Black excellency has its many beauties. See, we believe in our society and we believe in all communities. We live for familiarity and we recognize skin tones and recognize languages. We recognize hair texture and we recognize eye color. We recognize personalities and we recognize humanity. For we see only a big family. Thank you.
Thank you, Mia. That was incredible. Is she a talented poet or what, everybody? Give it up for Sora Mia again. Okay, the next Embrace Club member that is going to grace you with their talent is Jada Stewart, and she will be singing a rendition of the song Glory. Let's give it up for Jada.
Let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready. One day, when the glory comes, it'll be ours, it'll be ours. Oh, one day, when the glory's won, we'll be sure, oh, glory, glory.
Are these young people talented or what? Okay, and for our final WMHS Embrace Club member, that'll be sharing his talents with you today. I'd like to welcome to the stage Christian Monpremier, who's going to read you a speech.
Today is a rain boot day. Yeah, I was on field.
Hello. My name is Christian Woburn, and I am a sophomore in the WMHA's Embrace Club at the high school. As many of you know, Juneteenth is an annual holiday and is recognized as a day of reflection, celebration, and education about the history of slavery and the ongoing struggles of racial justice. Along with that, it is also a day to come together as a community to celebrate the contributions of Black people to the American society. Juneteenth is an important day for me because moving from Welcome to Woburn this year has taught me a lot. I used to hate it here because I couldn't fit in with anyone. I used to feel like because there aren't a lot of Haitians, I would start to drift from my culture and forget where I come from. Although there are Haitians here, it was very hard for me to connect with them because everyone already had their own friends and belonged somewhere. Through some of the friends I made in Woburn, I learned about the Embrace Club that has made me feel part of a Woburn community, and participating in events like this made me feel closer to my culture. I believe it's important to celebrate Black excellence because it's a way to recognize and honor the talent, creativity, and resilience of Black individuals and communities. It is also a way to challenge the negative stereotypes about Black people. In all honesty, many of us are aware of the unfair treatments that many Black people still face. We are more likely to be judged and looked at differently than compared to people of any other race. Some Black role models in my life are Jean-Michael Basquiat, who inspired me to be myself no matter what, to create my own art and be my own art. Another Black role model for me is my older brother Oliver, who once told me, as long as I can adapt, I can be successful. So to me, being Black is not about submitting to systematic struggles already placed in front of us, but to try our best and rise above those struggles in order to achieve greatness. Thank you.
It's days like today where I feel like the luckiest staff member at Woburn Memorial High School to be able to work with these kids every single day. So I want to thank you all for being here. Thank you for listening to these important, strong, dedicated, hardworking, lovely Black voices that we have in the Embrace Club. And I'd like to introduce a co-worker of mine, another WMHS teacher who gets to run the second best club in the high school after mine. We have a lot of crossover, a lot of the same students, but I'd like Miss Belinda Smith, who is the coach of the WMHS STEP team.
Thank you, Ms. Cardozo. I am Belinda Smith. I am the coach of the STEP team at Woburn High, and I would argue that we are, in fact, the best in the school. But that's okay. We're not competitive at all. The STEP team has been around for just over 15 years now. It has been a program that has grown continuously every year. We started as a group that was just doing the pep rally, which was a great way to get our voices heard and our images out there for the school community, and we have grown tenfold since we began. We participate in the pep rally. We are now like the pep squad at basketball games. We are at Woburn Welcomes events. We get to be here for great events like this, the Juneteenth event. So we are all over the place. We are always looking for other ways to get involved, to get ourselves out there and in the community, to spread what it is that we're all about, which is really building community and culture in the building. We are all about being yourself, embracing your heritage, having a safe place to explore that with people who are like-minded. And we accept anybody at any point in the year. We do have tryouts in the fall so that you can be part of the pep rally. But at any point in the year, we take new members in. It is always a safe space for them to be. So I'm going to do a real quick rapid wipe down of the stage before I get my girls up here because I don't want any of them to slip and fall. And we're going to give you just a quick little snapshot of what it is that we're all about and what it is that we like to do and come together as STEP team and do. So give me 2 seconds to wipe it down for them, and then I'm going to have them come up here.
And if we have more towels. Yeah.
Watching our performances. Thank you so much, everyone. So one more time, give it up for the WMHS Embrace Club and the WMHS Step Team. Thank you for joining us today. We have tables over there on one of the tents. Stop by, learn more about both of these awesome clubs at the high school, and don't be afraid to give us a donation. Thanks so much, everyone.
What did you say, Ms. Smith?
All right, give it up one more time for our performers from Woburn Memorial High School. All right, the time is 3:36. At 4 p.m. our music concert will start. So again, make sure you get some food, get some drinks, hang out, meet some new people, check out the vendors, hook up in the tents, stay dry, and then come back here in 25 minutes and kick off our concert. All right, up next we got Matt Coy. Let's go.
Go, Matt.
Yes, sir.
I'll take that.
Keep buying?
I'm just trying to find a way in while working on a way out, doing all the saying, well what they got to say now. I've been done with playing since I've been off the playground. Had my name inside their mouth, just ask them how it tastes now. Trying to count the days that I lose inside the haze, knowing all these thoughts into a pen will touch the page will touch touch the wind will touch your face. Don't be amazed. Feeling on your skin, your hands will start to raise. Trusting in the process, loving all your losses, strong enough to hold a rose by the thorns. Love your lows, without them you can't have a high. Satisfied with getting by, living life with small lies and small goals. No, we don't need another tough guy. Man, don't tell me that you didn't know that even doves cry. Another story untold, but that story's getting old. Living life in cameos, just don't mute my lines when my truth is finally being told. Got some feelings that I'm not afraid to show. I stopped wanting to ask and started taking. Now I'm finally in a place where I can grow. I know I ain't been around for a minute, but I'm in the city, had to let you know. Call me back if your time is permissive. Sorry love, I feel better on the go. And it's never been a shock to me how I zap tracks back, get them all for me. Kick a boom, rap like rap snacks, sing this for Rob Buffy. Cause the curiosity, algebraic plan, my solution to right constantly. Now she call me on my phone, conversations trying to hire me. Only makes sense, we both a part of high society. To my backbone, thanks for reminding me. I'm too far gone, but not alone, the stars align with me. Trying to find the time in these lines to explain what never rhymes. A visual that's never seen, feeling that's hard to find. Easy clicking lost inside these thoughts I lock inside my mind. Can't do it all at one time, give it to you sparingly. Due to the severity, it's easy for your clarity to be somebody's charity. Giving all this game, but trust the cause it isn't charity. People deserve it, see what hip-hop is breaking. You would think I'm taking orders, but right I'm not conserving these bars, platters, and dishes. These higher education contemplations, they go and listen. When it makes me a menace, is when they give me attention. I mean, I really don't get it, but I don't have to, just need to work through, whatever hurts to, is there a curfew for being one of the last people that's labeled the first to, carry the burden and win without losing virtue. I can't prepare for the worst too. Please tell me that I can see at the back door. Oh, what happened at least? Tell me that I can see at the back door. Taking a second to recognize that I'm flexing. Yeah, I know I'm the best, but I ain't come to get lessons. Demonstrations of the patience that I had. Everybody around me wanted, they don't work as hard as people in my corner who live in the Sunday bag. Myriad of Miyagi's, couple of kamikazes, two jazz to the body, I'm not sorry, I never touched an Atari. No games for me. It's been plain to see, I'm a pain to be. Pesticide to an industry plant, I mean, how I bring 4 degrees and achieve a dream with a PhD is not as fun as it seems to be living with. Ones that I can't afford, problems I can't ignore, people I need to see, reasons that sounded me, that make me want it more. R&B so we poor, all the dress so we poor. Shout out my world. Stop the world changing, Running through the cold, temperatures below. Say she want my love, but I'm telling her I'm empty. I've been on the road, I don't know who I know. Help from up above, give me space. Walking in circles and keeping demons on my back. Don't I'm in the place, somebody's stuck on the lap. Don't block me on my shows, I'm afraid of being clapped. Sorry, can't answer the phone, it's probably already tapped. New beginnings coming with difficult endings. Another day full of sin and a year of repenting. Oh Lord, fuck the way to catch all these blessings. Too many back-to-back days, consistently stressing. Had to go learn me a lesson. Not easy if you wanted, then wait and decided the question. I'd be lying if I said that I said it, but didn't mean it. Everybody think they life out upon it, but no one's seen it. I mean, you wouldn't believe it. But you took the little sister that we give a fan. Putting the grenades fine till you put a pin. I gotta blow up in a second. You just gotta count the seconds till I press in. Shockwaves to your face, to your brain, feel the pain, blaming on the local drink. All the good words being when the man's insane. Pulling off strange things, efforts might give me a series if I maintain. Popping champagne while I'm tugging on my heartstrings. And darling, difference between me and you, I'm a dog. Had to get such a fool. Been in love with rapping before you thought it was cool. Balling on the buttons and shopping for back to school. Mama didn't have it, made a habit of having less, turning into fuel. Get me anywhere I need to go. People paying, they could see me, I'm still starving in my show. Back against the goats. Holly film taught me it's the process for some growth. Gotta sit down in the dark to see the shimmer of some hope. Lord knows everything that's coming to me gon' double back to the fold. Give my permanent to my foresight, predicted my actions of past lives. Finding all the love that I put into this hard drive. Deep inside the archive. Wanna live right, looking through the fog. Chicken confusion with all these memories of love. Choking on the smoke, used to I'm living in the swamp. Don't get me charged, all these parties go AWOL. I might take off, you know, if you're stacking it Fritos. And shout out to Nico, the collab of Rico. I need my chips with all of the dip. Give me all of that shit, the bag and the shoes, the stove and the whip. Homies be saying I gotta stay patient, but sometimes I feel like I'm really just waiting. My nights will be chasing and chasing my table, the digging the bills. Stashes of embers to hide the hills. When I'm stuck in my feels and I love how I feel. I love how it. No, they can't help but be hating on me. I'm doing everything they said was a dream. They don't even know that we was on the same team. Never forget I was raised by the fiends, creeping and hit you before they were seen. Scramble for pieces, back at the table. I'm telling you, man, that this is my thesis. Wanted for so long to have my moment, and now that I reached it, tore them all down. Got new goals and new rules like new shoes. More now, it was old news. Way above people I never needed. Just to get out, never point out my nose on things that's trying to go. Just so you may be alone, but you're never on your own. In a world that's too big, just to get out, never point out your nose on things that's trying to go. Just so beautiful day to be down bad. My luck turned around with a frown. I am not sad. Hard-headed with a hard life. The car crash won't crack. I just bounce back with it. When my cash to my pants start healing, and these dead start drilling. When we find in love and no bad start cheering. Stand up the feeling, the bad I won't follow you broke. Miss it, calling it this, the only thing you see. I'm hoping my second nature don't change on me. But rapping is stuck with me like ABC. Marching every single envious eye that follows me. Every rapper is easy as 1 to 3. Also I was a dog, but now I'm on the leash. Got a new lease on life, hurt. Drums on ice, you champagne nights. Turn on that sweater and it's summertime weather. Every say la vie, bitch.
appreciate everybody coming out tonight. I had a great time. Thank you for standing in the rain. We love you.
Let's hear it for Matt Boyd. One more time. Let's go. All right, we're going to skip ahead to BML by My Lonely. Y'all want to come to the stage, please? Some up-and-coming young stars in the Boston music
Check them out. BML.
Testing. How y'all doing today? Y'all are lying because it's raining. Y'all are not doing good right now. I'm not gonna lie. So
We're outside supporting, so we are doing good.
appreciate y'all for coming out. Shout out to Matt Coy, the last one. He killed it, my boy. Appreciate y'all. Got it.
My life's been kinda crazy, so this what I'm doing, this what I'm doing in the bag. Been making some moves, I'm making some money, I'm in new honeys. Strip club, I'm throwing up honeys. Don't need me no love, I need me nobody. I'm just being honest. I cruise in a beam, but not black. I move to clean when I'm not. Drove a feed, I know she gon' eat her bust down. She don't mind me, the face on me. She loving the features, J's on. I ain't walk with creases, crack cars, I'm swapping the pieces, switch cars, doing illegals. Baby, if you let me go, I just really wanna know. After all these clubs and shows, do you think I'm coming back? Whip her out for Romeo, 444, we on the road. Do the dash like I stole, baby, you know I ain't coming back.
How y'all feeling right now? You know? I'm trying to get this performance out the way because I know it's gonna rain crazy. See it coming. Turn me up, DJ. My shoes is yellow right now. Damn.
Hello, love you there. Hello, I know you take my call.
Baby, my heart's on fire, left me in flames, I turned to a fireman. They ask where I've been, I'm stacking these M's, I swear I don't need any friends. Like, these bitches the same, they love when you up, I know they gon' change on a nigga. I see it myself, I'm with Allah. Get it myself, I'ma die trying. All of the nights that I cried, I'ma survive, I'm screaming survival, thinking the day my pops died. Watch you around, who keep right beside you. Got me some killers, I got me some robbers. Got me some niggas who chasing a bag. Ain't worried about haters, I know they gon' bother. All the niggas that's going out mad. Pop tags, hop in a plane like adios. I step in the scene, just landing in Vegas. Into LA, I'm trying to be famous. Smoke gelato, the cookie my favorite. How can I lack when I'm moving dangerous? For the north, I got me a pole. Keep it on me, I'm feeling the safest like blah, blah. Blah, boom, send me that Addy, we shaking the room. Fast car, taking off like Zoom. Bitch ain't no ready, I know they assume. Fuck love, my hoes abuse. I'm a survivor, I'm screaming survivor. Fake love, I cannot allow it like.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system. At the tone, please record your message.
Left me flame, I turned to a fire, man.
Mommy, I want you back.
Baby, my heart's on fire, left me in flames, I turned to a fireman. They ask where I've been, I'm stacking these M's, I swear I don't need any friends. Like, these bitches the same, they love when you up, I know they gon' change on a nigga. I see it myself, I'm with Allah. Get it myself, I'ma die trying. Baby, my heart's on fire, left me in flames, I turned to a fireman. They ask where I've been, I'm stacking these M's, I swear I don't need any friends. Like, these bitches the same, they love when you up, I know they gon' change on a nigga. I see it myself, I'm with Allah. Get it myself, I'ma die trying. All of the nights that I cried, I'ma survive, I'm still survivor. Thinking the day my pops died. Watch you around, who keep right beside you. Got me some killers, I got me some robbers. Got me some niggas who chasing a bag. Ain't worried about haters, I know they gon' bother. See all the niggas that's going out mad. Thank you, guys. Whoever's next, I hope y'all kill this, bro. My boy, here you go.
Besides the ring, how's everybody doing? Yeah? I go by BML 3 times, so hope y'all enjoy this performance.
Our dreams, they feel real while we're in them, right? It's only when we wake up that we realize something was actually strange.
Look, dreams, we all have them, but only some of of us put in the work to make it happen. And I only had two options. Was either in the streets or be the one to make it happen. Two options so quick, it just turned into one. Had a straight pen, she made it easy for us, son. And this is only beginning. Big man, you know we winning. To all the haters, when I make it, mind your fucking business. Anybody get on my way, acting left, competition with myself to be the fucking best. I gotta keep moving, no time to rest. And I'm only 24, change the game just like a step. That's only song one. That's only song one. I got y'all in song two. I got y'all. And I'm calling, picking up. On some nights like this, I think I just showed you too much love. Then activated boogie mode like nah. Mad at the point I make cause I don't give a fuck. When you call like picking up. Why you so mad honestly? I don't really wanna talk to ya. Sound like Lady Gaga with that rah-rah. I done had you down, I ain't switching up, no. How does it feel when you're back and get so on? You're the only one that's really fighting for you. Fuck everybody else, the way I'm feeling, only way I'm feeling. People say they got you, we don't got you. That's why I don't really care how people feel. Only the real understand they can feel who's real. I'm fucking with this music, top 3 like I'm Bill. Yeah, when there's a way, there's a will. Fighting on this demons, reminiscing about my losses and tired of this fuck shit. So let me switch the topic, so fuck it. I'm heading to the top just like a rocket. I'm putting no bullshit, I'm trying to twitch you like a puppet. And now it's real cold-hearted, the only thing I can be. Shit was toxic to me, so to me I see that I'm completely done with whatever this is. And I'ma walk away and going up these Benjamins. On some nights like this, I think I just showed you so much love. Then activated, but you were like nah. Mad at the point I make cause I don't give a fuck. When you call like picking up. Why you so mad honestly? I don't really wanna talk to ya. Cause you sound like Lady Gaga without a rock. I done had you down, I ain't switching up, no.
I ain't tripping on no bitch, I know they coming down a dozen. When I tell her bring it here, that ain't the only way she coming. If you think you running game on me, okay, little hoe, you bugging. Why I'm giving all this love and a lot on me? Now your consequences of your actions, dealing with the repercussions. Always yelling, then we fighting, you start crying, now we fucking. What the hell is going on? 1 cup, 2 cup, chug it all. Now I'm back up in the zone, let's go. I responded to my message, got me feeling so neglected. If I showed you too much love, then I'ma get off on this exit. I'm the type to fall back once I start feeling rejected. Play your cards and cut that out. Time to show you who I am. It's like we ain't eye to eye, and lately you don't understand. I've been wanting your attention, but that shit on Instagram. And when I'm gone in the wind, just know you lost out on your man. God
on some nights like this, I think I just showed you too much love. Then activated boogie mode like nah. Mad at the point I make cause I don't give a fuck. When you call like picking up. Why you so mad honestly? I don't really wanna talk to ya. Sound like Lady Gaga with that rah-rah. I done held you down, now you switching up, no. Oh, follow me on all platforms at BML 3x_. So BML, the number 3x_.
How y'all doing? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? Y'all can come in a little bit closer too. I know it's a little rainy, but you know we're here to have a good time. My name is Lila. I'm a producer. I rap. I sing. Do a little bit of everything. You can follow me on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Long Live Lila. That's spelled Lilah. And yeah, just waiting for my DJ. I will be having some merch too after the show. You can come up to me and have some cool. Alright, you right, my fault. You know it's a little rainy, so kind of cold, but I got this merch. You feel me? Beef and broccoli. This song is called Coast Guard, and this one I just want you to just listen to it. You don't have to really pop your head. Just listen to the words down. Lord, let's live with devotion. I'm a fearless type of person, and I really hate emotions, even though I love conversing things outside of a force print. Infatuations to get their break in another pathway, cause I fear that fate won't repeat. Thoughts in mind I utilize. Who you refuse to die? Chain hanging true G's, pretty bad with Gigi, right? And I know that you appear behind this truth that you were scared. Spending all that time shopping, years later, no career. You say, Mama, I'm employed, find a quarters in a sofa. All this shit gon' add up, and I hold the profit closer. Mama, don't be mad, I done used up all your gas, but I pay you right back, cause I scavenge like a vulture. I'm lonely, even though there's like 5,000 on my social. Keep calling my blood siblings close to area coastal. My father always told me that love is money late. That's why my heart keep feeling this emotion I really hate. But Coast Guard, will you save me? I see my reflection in the water, baby. Ooh, I'm drowning, I can't breathe. I'm drowning, I can't breathe. Hey, you don't care how I feel, you just wanna listen. All eyes look at me, can't divide attention. Legally, I'm an adult, but need your permission. And you make me keep you posted like I'm your subscription. If you tell me that I care, would you really feel? Cause the damage I've inflicted holds a silent still. If I so happen to wink, would you walk away? Or would you smile at me and hope to have our better days? Cause it's all about simplicity and I'm just not so simple. Why you steady talking off this target, are you simple? When did you become like that and what has gotten in you? I can't really ride with you, I'm forming some trust issues. All after all the effort, all the moments we together, all after all of this. Just to put it in perspective, I just never thought to fuss. Never thought of giving up, never thought of losing you, never thought no me and you. But Coast Guard, will you save me? I see my reflection in the water, baby. I'm drowning, I can't breathe. I'm drowning, I can't breathe. That's just my first song. That's also on Family Ties. You can hear that on Spotify, YouTube, any streaming platform. It's called Family Ties if you want to check into that. But this next song, we got this song. We can play that. I produced this one, which is pretty cool. So just ride with me in the rain a little bit. I said, it's 5:55. I'm looking at you feeling. Check it. Look, I don't waste no time, I need a minute or two. No use your social status, but I'm right here with you. And the system got you trapped, you got some talent to prove. They're stacking all your tips and rubber band all the loose. This confidence is practicing, you mastered it, right? You ain't out there slipping and then falling in line. Weekends out there tripping and then stuffing their minds. See the truth in this, that's why I'm calling you mine. It's 5:55 with nowhere to hide. I'm looking and these feelings suddenly arise. You call me as you blink upon your spark of the eye. Around with counterfeit, you finally feel the real ride. Let's drive for miles, we ain't offend nobody. Out here mixing flavors, painting and biscotti. We can share the truth, let's make it our new hobby. This ain't no excursion, long as you around me. Hey, baby. As long as you here with me. Yeah. It's 5:55 with nowhere to hide. I'm looking at these feelings suddenly arise. Yeah. I ain't troublesome, should I share my smile? No reason to act mysterious, I'm curious now. Why I only peep you when I glance in the crowd? See all of your hard work when you ain't throwing that towel. Yeah, and either way if you want. Vintage clothes and prices, you want Imperial, huh? Don't be pushing buttons trying to speed up your thumbs. Just be brainstorming what we finna become. Hey, it's 5:55 with nowhere to hide. I'm living in these feelings suddenly arise. You call me as I get You find it feel the rhythm ride. Let's drop for miles. We ain't a fin of body. Rather be with you than hang out at a party. Rather share my mind than share just a body. This ain't no excursion long as you around me, baby. Oh, as long as you here with me. Hey, ride with me. I said, girl, is it easy to love me now? Would you love me if I was down and out? Would you still have love? One more time, I said, girl, is it easy to love me now? Boy, would you love me if I was down and out? Would you still have love for me? Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Go ahead, DJ. This is also my brother Ted. Can we just get a I-10? Feeling my jeans, got me feeling like Michael and his team. Okay, I can't deny, I wanna spend the night. Okay, I feel alright, but can you sense a vibe? Okay, I'm in a riot, would you go pick a fight? Okay, I'm in a rush and I'm just talking all this shit, but you can't deposit it. Got me losing all this and I'm talking all this shit, but you can't deposit it. Got me losing all this okay, alright, you go okay, alright, we go okay, alright, we go okay, alright, I can't lean off other ones, look about how the double funds, I got 5 other siblings, I got 5 on my winners, they gon' be like, where you from? I've been brewing in this pot, family ties in the business, family pies in the kitchen, hey, pick anywhere on the map and I'ma be dressing comfortably, holding my bag in the money, pick it up for me. I swerve down in the yellow brick road, riding like a bimbo, riding like I see no guys. I've been in a situation, whoa, love when they say, oh, complication, oh, yeah. I've been in a situation, whoa, love when they say, hey. Complication, hey, we say, I say okay, alright, we go okay, alright, we go okay, alright, we go okay, running off a tip of luck, I need 2 hats in my cup. Running off a tip of luck, I need 2 hats in my cup, baby. Running off a tip of luck, I need 2 hats in my cup. Hey, look, this part of the leech, you know all of our secrets. Time after time with the minutes I roll through. Both those are bold too, play my role how I'm supposed to. No JC on my chest and I'm drowned with emotion, with all this confusion, I'm catching my breath. I just hit go, don't cry, what's next? The questions that God are reflecting within. I'm really just sitting here asking myself. We tend to put all the blame upon him. Now listen, I'm standing, not asking ourselves. Time at the time, what did it amount to? All of this life is a memory fade. Time at the time, what did it amount to? All of this left, running off a tip of luck. I need 2 hats in my cup, in the pen, and my mama has 6 kids, she thought we always be rich on the way. On the way, what? Running off a tip of luck, I need 2 hats in my cup, in the pen, baby. Running off a tip of luck, I need 2 hats in my cup. Running off a tip of luck, girl, raise your stamina. I've been running on private, free my mind, been getting my handle up. I've been seeing my sons, been figuring out why they sipping, not handle us. I've been thinking out why they thinking out how they can't deny. What? Running off the tip of luck. Girl, raise your stamina. I've been running on private, free my mind, been getting my handle up. I've been seeing my signs, been seeking out why they see me not handle up. I've been thinking about mine, been thinking out why they can't deny. What? Running off the tip of luck. I want to have in my cup. I got like 2 more. How y'all feeling though? I know it's feeling a little crazy. What's going on? Just clap your hands for me. In the rain. Little thing. Little thing. Just clap your hands. Feel good. Juneteenth. Boston. Okay. Hey. Okay. Hey. Baby. Hey. Look. I said jaded. Let's take pics up in the favorite song while we waiting. You just let me pick the favorite one. Like your fragrance. Settle on the realness in relations while we patient. You can keep your number and your dial on rotation. Better yet, right up in my little coupe and I roof that. And you need some guidance with your attitude, not suit that. And you want attention, public mentions, I can loop that. I got the basket, let me practice with a who's at. Cause I got this feeling of something you're missing. Do the way you lay on me, do the way you lay on me. Highlight of my life, I got you in my sight. Can't take away, can't take away. My love is kind of been something you need. Don't run away from me, don't run away from me. Pull up tonight with my heart on my sleeve. I got that way, I got that way. So what's the plan? Come on, let me work, let me, hey. Come on, let me work, let me show you how I am. Come and see this work, see this, hey. Come and see this work, let me show you what's the plan. Come on, let me work, let me, ooh. Come on, let me work, let me show you how I am. Come and see this work, see this, hey. Come and see this work, work, hey. Baby, I know I hear me on the radio, on the radio. Hey, I know you hear me on the radio, on the radio. Baby, I know you hear me on the radio, on the radio, That's Fragrance. One of my favorite summertime songs. Summertime vibe. I think we got one more for y'all. You're gonna tag me anywhere if you've been recording me. Long Live Lila on Instagram, Twitter. It's spelled Lilah. Thank you for being here. Let's hit this last one. Oh, it goes like this. Right? I had myself moving forward, had myself, I had myself undercover, had myself like no one. I had mad friends that go back miles away. I know they're gone, and if you're tripping, I'm the only way to carry on. I gotta eat off my own plate, gotta do whatever it takes. What's this feeling in my heart? I just know how bad I had myself moving forward, had myself in the morning, had myself undercover, had myself like no one other, had myself moving forward, had myself in the morning, had myself undercover, had myself like no one other. I be talking about the nice world, cup of water with the ice world. What you doing something that I like? I ain't talking about the mood, but you put me in my mood. I gotta give it to you, Bruce. Say so, please. I've been looking out the window for a clear view. I've been dreading on my head what I'm gonna do. Right away, cause the current keep me in the loop. Either way, I'm dependent on my feet and shoes. Moving forward, had myself in the morning, had myself undercover, had myself like no one. I had myself moving forward, had myself in the morning. Again, my name is Lila. It goes Lilah. Follow me on all platforms. Long live Lila. I'll be selling some tea.
All right. Give it up for Lila. Let's go. That was dope. Lila is another young star. Make sure you follow her. Long live Lila. Watch the rise. Remember the name. All right, next up we got Eva Davenport. Crooner extraordinaire. Let's go.
Check, check, check. Thank you. How's everybody doing? We are in the rain. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Rain. Thank you today. Thank you, everybody. I'm going to start with a poem. Okay. This is called Matter. What really matters the most to you? Is it the sound of singing birds before the sun's rising? Is it the way the light flickers off the ocean in the evening? Is it a beautiful cloudy full moon late at night? Is it the sun shining rays of light into your life? Is it your mama's laughter? Is it your father's smile? Your brothers and sisters' love never in denial? Is it fragrant smells, delicious food, a beautiful song and a glorious mood? Whatever it is that matters most to you, find it, hold on to it, and let it endlessly guide you. Ashe. Let's hit it, band. Yeah. Thank you.
Just with my
Can we run that back?
like 5:15 time at 5:50.
What I think I can do is like,
I want to share a little bit of my soul with you guys.
we got you.
Sometimes I cry, I thank the Lord I am awake today. I know the weight of His blessing. I step outside, breathing the air. I feel the grass beneath my feet and birds singing. Blue skies and trees swaying lets me know that you're still with me, somewhere far beyond the stars, and I'm still right here, close to where you are, and I'm still right here, close to where you are. I move ahead, one foot after the next. My heart is beating stronger, and my eyes are open wide with all this wonder. I find a space to meditate, with palms and feet touching the earth. I focus and pray. Feel my soul transitioning, lets me know that you're still with me, somewhere far beyond the stars, and I'll stay right here, close to where you are, and I'll stay right here, close to where you are. I love you, Papa. Alright, this next song I'm gonna have the band do without the track, and this song is called Handle It. You may have heard it, it's available on all streaming platforms. Let's get it. Wake up, baby girl, it's almost noon, yeah. You've been lying there, stressing about a pain that ain't yours to prove, right? So, throw the blankets on the floor, stretch your body, sure, pick your head and neck and back up, both feet on the floor, stand up, Tony, straight stride into your day, cry and smile if you need, but you gon' be okay. Life is full of ups and downs. Don't let nothing bring you underground. You better handle it, so handle it. Say manage it, I'll handle it. You may be feeling out of place. Remember you control your own headspace. You better handle it, so handle it. Say manage it, I'll handle it. Stand up, been foolish trying to win a war that's only happening in your head. There's no one around us, what you're fighting for, yeah. That you can see right, strong, stand to love it. Move on, set yourself up for success. I know you're really strong, treat your body. God helping you sleeping out, focus on hard time and stroke. You gon' be alright. Full of ups and downs. Don't let nothing bring you underground. You get to handle it, so handle it. So manage it, I'll handle it. You may be feeling out of place. Remember, you control your own headspace. You get to handle it, so handle it. Say manage it, baby. Baby girl, you know what life is giving. Can't choose your cause and can't write what isn't. Failing in the stars, but you like dismiss and take a break and pause, yeah. You're emotional, you make the right decision. Keep your focus, you'll go ahead and write your vision. Knowing moments you'll feel like your life is ending. Take control, those will be a slight remembrance. Travel to a point where you don't need to see nobody. You can do it on your own, don't even need a partner. People on the blur, relax and free your body. Always put yourself first, tell the weak they need a hobby. Make them a believer, out of energy. The foggy thoughts is turning in your brain. Change your alchemy to poly. Life gets hard, but you manage it. And when it gets off track, life is full of ups and downs. Don't let nothing bring you underground. Say handle it, say handle it, say handle it, say handle it. You may be feeling out of place, but baby you control your own headspace. You built to handle it, so handle it. Say manage it, oh handle it, yeah. Alright, we're gonna skip a couple songs and we're gonna hit Still Love You. Still Love You. This is an unreleased song. And yeah, you guys are getting some special treats for being out in the rain. All the love to you. You know, it's beautiful out here, right? It's a blessing. Absolutely. So I wanted to ask a question to kind of bring us all together. How many of y'all been in love before? Raise your hand, raise your hand. You've been in love. Now I want you to keep your hands up if you ever been heartbroken. Yeah. You don't hit my line no more. throwing out and lying. All the drama not about that shit was out. Mama telling me to just forget your name. Now simple is vividly tatted on my brain. To keep it up for so long, had to be insane. But even one more love will have you doing crazy things. I still love you. I still do that. But I love myself more. What you change, trying to get up in my happy place. Some days, you know that there used to be our days. Now I'm up in church praying, trying to get back to my roots. Connected with my friends I never saw because of you. Keeping around me, staying focused on me, my spirit and body. Baby, healing is not easy, I'm trying. That's the best we all can do. But now I'm laying in my bed and crying alone because I still love you. I still love you. But I love myself more. I love myself more. I love myself more. I don't feel like I don't need you. I damn sure don't need you, no, baby. But damn, I swore I did before. Really thought I did before. Is it wrong? Wrong to envision a world where things could change. Wrong to imagine a world where we stay. Where you stay. Being strong is not an easy task. Letting go of what you once believed will last for what would have been forever, ever, ever. But I love us both enough to know that we deserve better. That don't mean that I don't love you. I still love you. I still love you, baby. But I love myself more. I love myself more. Yeah, I love myself more. Said that I love myself more. So I just want the band to vibe out for this one. I'm gonna share this poem with y'all, and here goes. This is my first time sharing this. Now just give me some like smooth vibes, smooth rainy day vibes. I'm black. If you choose to, you can box me into your narrow-minded vision of what a black girl looks like, acts like, talks like, or thinks like. But you will be ignorant to question me, as we black people are boundless and endlessly unique. I'm black. My Nigerian and Ghanaian ancestors hold their heads high as I proclaim these words. Words some of my ancestors were so oppressed and afraid to say that they walked through this world passe blanc, choking on their identity, choosing to act like what they most look like, and denying their roots to do more than just survive, but to try to thrive in a world spread thick with cruelty. I'm black. I'm proud of my ancestors, those who chose to place blanc, but especially those who did not have a choice. I'm proud to be of a lineage of unbreakable people who gave everything for me to live free today and proclaim my roots out loud with honor. Knowing black indigenous warriors, healers, and empresses are who served us our freedom on a golden platter. I'm white, and it doesn't feel right to claim you. I see you in the faces of my loved ones, but I don't see you when I look in the mirror. Your history reminds me of the attempted destruction of my people. You tried to rip up our history and made it so difficult for me to find my black and indigenous lineage today, causing us to nearly forget our language and who we are. Yet you live in me and love me through my dear family. And I'm still at a crossroads with you to to this day. I'm black. When some of my kin hear me claim I'm black and proud, they look at me like, doesn't this little Hispanic looking girl know she's not black enough? And I reply, didn't your small minds know that looks and perceptions mean absolutely nothing to those of us who are really living our best lives? You want me to call myself something else? Well, racially ambiguous does not do my ancestors justice, and mixed does not serve anyone but the person looking at my face. Congratulations, I could say, because you showed me into a box that makes sense for you. Are you happy now? Happy to diminish my bloodline down to how you see me on the outside? Why do we do this? Light skin versus dark skin. Are you black or not black enough? Is because white people did this to us. But this is about my bloodline. Don't you understand? I am black. We can be so goddamn judgmental and close-minded because the world, people made us this way. But we deserve better. To accept and love and stand up for each other. I am indigenous. When I saw Pocahontas on a TV screen, I felt seen. Joy to see a Disney princess in 2003 for the first time who looked like me. My father would act as if she was my queen, but little did he know we were also deeply rooted Nubian royalty. Little did he know I would be the first generation in our family to bring back the truth of our culture in every ethnicity. Most importantly, to uplift our black indigenous ancestors who came before me. Now I want to hear y'all say it loud. I'm black and I'm proud. Proud to be standing strong on our land and hold my melanated family up high on a pedestal of love and protection. Say it loud. I'm black and I'm proud. Proud to bring our art and our love to the forefront and rebuild and grow together. Say it loud. I'm black and I'm proud. Proud to feel my ancestors wrap me in their loving arms and guide me toward an understanding of love that I am now able to preach loud and true. One more time with me, please say it loud. I'm black and I'm proud. Thank you. I got 2 more songs for y'all, and they're gonna mold into one another, so we won't have a break in between. This one's called Seek Truth. This is unreleased, and the last one is called High Like This. Thank you for jamming out with me in the rain. I love you all so much. Thank you for being here for this moment. Let's get it. Just into pressure, I got it measured, I do it so righteously. Admiring the views, tying my shoes to knot it tightly. I'm so sorry. You can tell by my catch me cruising down the lane, looking to find. No, you're trying to catch up to this heart of mine. She been deep diving with a Gemini, soaring like a phoenix. Only truth can get away. My tribe made of soldiers, only truth can get away. Stand on my feet and I pray on my knees at the grave and I'm good. Ask for forgiveness and maybe a sign of heaven. Look into you, Papa, please got me through as a dream that I see through the heaven. I know that you're saying you give me protection. My angel up in heaven, can you spread some brighter body as I do for our family? Every word you're praying, you will give me strength to love my purpose, passion, dreams, and make this world believe in their own power and their freedom to say. Build my tribe, my spiritual leaders, grant my soul to be a receiver. I will live my life in your honor. I will serve my soul for peace. Love it with your heart, sing it with your soul. That's the only way. That's the only way. Oh baby, I love it with your heart, sing it with your soul. That's the only way. Love it with your heart, sing it with your soul. That's the only way. Yeah. Oh baby, I love it with your heart, sing it with your soul. That's the only way. Real shiny like a gold Rolex watch. Ariana's shoulder when she rocked that Fendi body, like a shoulder looking all sexy. I'm working 9 to 5, get my money right. Hustling on the side, study with the grind. 21 and when I sleep awake, I'm trying to flexing in my prime. Yeah, I'm focused on the vision, rock steady on a glisten. Ears open, boy, I'm listening. Tongue first, get a quenching. Keep drinking at the wrist. Bank account coming, I'm richer. Stay steady with the positive. Ay, focused on climbing the ladder. Drugs cannot be a high like this. Yeah, I'm talking about sex cannot be a high like this, babe. Like this, yeah. It's life and babe. It's that nothing will be a high like this, baby. Like this. I'm trying to be real different, switch it up, baby. Could come in, walk up in the club and they just gotta say something. Shorty always on the A presentation. I'm chasing after dreams, following my heart. Just what I believe, study with the shot. Only get a couple chances, better hit it right on the pop. Yeah, I'm headed towards the stage lights. Curtain up, it's my time, right? Stay shiny cause my star bright. Keep gleaming after dark nights. Never listen to a hater. Focus on getting my paper. Watch me, I'm rising, I'm rising. Can't catch me, I'm flying, I'm rising. Drugs cannot be a high like this. I'm talking about doing what you love to do, I said. Sex cannot be a high like this, baby. Like this, baby. Like this, my life, and baby, it's that easy, yeah. You know, nothing will be a high like this, baby. Like this, baby, say. We rising, we rising, we rising. Long as you and me, then we flying, flying. Stay focused on you. Gotta trust and believe in your heart. That's the truth, say. Oh, come on, little baby, ride away. Don't listen hard what haters say. But you gotta play the game, play the game, play the game, say. Nothing will be a high like this, babe. Not the rain. Nothing will be a high like this, babe. Yeah. Nothing will be a high like this, babe. Nothing will be a high like this, babe. Like this, babe. Like this. I just want to shout out all the artists who are performing today. I just want to shout out everybody who's standing in the rain and enjoying this today. Shout out to the band. Shout out to our DJs. Shout out to the producers of this event who are holding it down, walking around in the pouring rain, drenched, blessed. Nothing is better than doing what you love to do. Thank you for this space to share my passion and my purpose with you. I love you all so much. I don't have to know you to love you. I do. Thank you. Thank you for listening. My name is Eva Davenport. Have a beautiful day.
All right, give it up. Give it one more time for Eva Davenport. Unfortunately, due to the elements, we're going to have to cut the performances short. So, Eva, thank you for being our de facto headliner. But I do want to give a shout out to the artists who showed up anyway, were ready to go, even though they couldn't perform today. So, we got Party Boy Woods over here. Hey, make sure you follow all of our artists. Check out our program book online. It's got all of their Instagrams. All right. Follow these artists, support these artists, come out for them again, because we're going to do this again. So, Party Boy Woods, we got C4. I don't know if he's here. He's not here right now, but C4, another young guy, up and coming, so make sure you follow him. Notebook P, where you at? Where you at, P? Hey, Notebook. Give him a little wave. Notebook P. BML JR. And then we have a headliner over here, Latrell James, coming out, supporting all the artists. Thank you all so much. I want to thank the sound guys. I also want to give a shout out to Safari Hat King and the band, trying some great music. Unfortunately, we had to cut their set short too, so make sure you support all these artists. They play all the time, everywhere, all right? And I want to thank you personally for coming out, supporting us in this pouring rain. It's amazing. We're going to be here next year, so we'll, everyone do their rain dance, or their anti-rain dance. All right, that's it for us. See you all next year. Thank you for coming out. Have a good night.